All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about something super simple but really powerful, especially if you have MS. It's for anyone who's ever felt that frustration. You know, you're doing the exercises, you feel like you're getting stronger, but that strength just doesn't seem to show up in your day-to-day life. Well, we're going to talk about something called the rule of two.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself using your arms to, say, lift your leg into the car? Or maybe to help you scoot forward in a chair?
If you answered yes, the very first thing you need to hear comes from physical therapist Dr. Gretchen Holly. She says, I want you to stop feeling guilty about that. Seriously, it's an incredibly common thing. And today's explainer is all about understanding why it happens and, more importantly, how you can start to change it.
So what's at the heart of this? It all comes down to a habit called overcompensation. And this is what creates that really frustrating gap between the strength you know you're building and the strength you can actually use when you need it.
So what exactly do we mean by overcompensation? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It's when one part of your body, and yeah, it's usually your arms, jumps in to do the work that another part of your body, like your legs, is supposed to be doing. Your body's basically found a little shortcut.
And you see this pop up all over the place in daily life, right? It's things like using your hands to swing your leg into a car, or pushing down really hard on the armrests to get out of a chair. Maybe it's that subtle little touch of the wall or furniture as you're walking, or even using your hands on the seat to help you scoot forward. Do any of those ring a bell? But here's the thing. This isn't just about weak muscles. The real culprit here is something we're going to call the brain strength disconnect. It's all about why your brain holds on so tightly to these old habits even when they're not helping you anymore. And this is the absolute key to understanding this. Your brain learns these little shortcuts, these compensation patterns, and over time they become completely automatic. We're talking as automatic as breathing. So even after you've worked hard and built up new strength, your brain can just completely bypass it, just out of pure habit.
I mean, it's amazing how subconscious this stuff can be. Dr. Holly tells us a great story about a client who swore up and down that he never, ever touched the walls when he walked. The thing is, she had just watched him walk down an entire hallway with one finger just lightly trailing along the wall. He had absolutely no idea he was even doing it. That's how deep these patterns can get.
And this quote just nails it. You could get your muscles to full strength, but you might still find yourself needing to use your hands because your brain hasn't learned how to access that strength when you need it for a functional task. That's the gap we've got to close.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem pretty clearly. Now, what do we actually do about it? Let's get to the solution. It's called the rule of two, and it's a beautifully simple way to start bridging that gap between the strength you have and the strength you use.
And you know what? The entire strategy, the whole thing, boils down to this one single number, 2.
So how does this work? It's so simple. Before you use any help, before you reach with your hands, you try to do the movement all on its own. Let's say lifting your leg. That's attempt number 1. If it doesn't work, you try it again, a second time. And only then, after those 2 tries, do you go ahead and use your hands or whatever assistance you need to get it done.
Let's make this super practical. Picture this. You're getting out of a car. The old way, the automatic habit, might be to just immediately reach down and lift your leg out. With the rule of 2, you stop, you pause, you consciously try to lift your leg with just your leg muscles. Then you try again. If it's still not budging after that second try, that's when you help it out. 2 honest tries first.
Okay, so this is where the real aha moment happens. Why on earth does a simple little rule like this actually work? Well, it's all about retraining your brain's habits.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, but what if my leg doesn't even budge on those 2 tries? Like at all? What's the point then? And you know what? That is the perfect question.
And here's the answer. That's completely okay. In fact, it doesn't matter one bit if the leg actually moves. With this rule, success isn't defined by the movement. Success is the attempt. Each time you try, you are sending the right signal from your brain to that muscle, and that's the win.
And this highlights a really key difference in goals, right? Your regular exercises, their goal is to build muscle strength. But the rule of 2, its goal is totally different. It's all about retraining the neural pathways, basically fixing the communication lines between your brain and those muscles.
As Dr. Holly puts it, it's about giving your brain the opportunity to try the neural pathway first.
Every time you attempt the movement the correct way before you compensate, you are, and this is not an exaggeration, you are literally rewiring your brain. You're strengthening that connection.
Okay, let's bring this all home. How do you actually put the rule of 2 to work for yourself, starting like today? Here's your action plan. It's a simple 3-step process. First, just become aware. Start noticing where and when you're using those little shortcuts. You can even ask a trusted friend or family member for their honest feedback. Second, don't try to fix everything all at once. Just pick one single frustrating situation to focus on for the week. And third, apply the rule. Be patient with yourself, be consistent, and always give yourself those 2 attempts.
And as you do this, just remember a few things. This is strategic retraining. It is not failure. Using help after 2 tries, that is part of the plan, not a setback. Repetition is what's going to forge that new habit. And most importantly, with every single attempt, you are rebuilding that crucial brain-muscle connection. So that brings us to the end. It's a simple rule, but it is so powerful. And really, there's only one question left to ask. Now that you know the rule, what's the one habit you're going to start retraining first?